Hello there, y'all. Hope you've had an amazing day or night wherever you are, wherever you're watching this. I hope that your day has been just fine and you're doing just perfect. We're here at the Ursa Institute, and I'm really glad to be at your service. And I hope that this session will go just as perfectly as it possibly can. Thank you. What's important to know is that this is not a pre-recorded picture or footage of the sun. We're live here on the rooftop of the Institute, and we are directly looking at the sun, and we have live footage. So the sun emits all electromagnetic spectra, including radio waves, infrared, visible range, ultraviolet X-rays, and gamma rays. What we're basically talking about here is that the sun can emit in all these electromagnetic spectra. However, what we perceive is only a few of them, and we do studies on these three. So the sun emits in all spectra. However, we perceive only three of them, as he mentioned earlier. We perceive the visible range, or the visible light, and we do this through the optical way, which means we perceive the visible light optically. And it's the reason why we can see our surroundings. So the light reflects from the things that are around us. It hits our eyes, and then we are able to see the things. The second spectrum is the infrared spectrum, which we feel through heat, the temperature. Just like in a winter day, when you look for the sunlight to get warmer, that's an example. And the third one is the ultraviolet spectrum, which we perceive through tanning, or what may be known as the burning of the skin. What he basically said was every spectrum emitted from the sun is a key to discovering certain features about it. In every spectrum, we observe different details about the sun, and we see certain areas and depths. Then he talked about the layers of the sun, that each of them has a different depth and a different temperature, and all these emit different spectra. We perceive these spectra, and then we do our studies on them. So in order to look at the sun, we should use sunglasses, or else our eyes will take long-term damage. And under no circumstances are we allowed to ever look at the sun through a telescope without a proper filter. Now, we can set things on fire using a magnifying glass. Now, a magnifier concentrates the sun rays, and you can set things on fire with it. Now, imagine what a telescope can do to your eye if you don't use a proper filter. Now, looking at the sun through a telescope without a proper filter can cause blindness, or even MTV orbits, in a fraction of a second. Now, you might wonder what an orbit is. Orbits are bony structures of the skull that hold the eyes inside. Now, standard filters block about 99.999% of the sun's visible light and completely block the infrared and ultraviolet light. That basically means these filters allow only 0.001% of the visible light to pass through, which is totally harmless to the eye, if not less harmless than looking at our surroundings. Filters come in different types. By applying the Mylar solar filter, we observe the sun in white light. In other words, using this filter, we observe the sun in the entire visible spectrum, which is the sum of all colors combined. In this case, we're able to see the photosphere. Now, some of the important phenomena that we can observe and study in this area of the sun, photosphere, are sunspots, granules, and limb darkening. This area is as deep as we can see, or the deepest we can observe. Other deeper layers include the convection zone just below the photosphere, the radiative zone, and the core, which is the central area of the sun. We can only study the effects of these layers through different methods. The core is the hottest area of the sun, with a temperature of about 15 million degrees Celsius. The hottest and most stable, of course, because there are hotter spots in the sun, but this one is the most stable. There are hotter areas which we'll cover later. The temperature drops as we get to the photosphere from the core. The photosphere is the coldest area of the sun with a temperature of about 6,000 degrees Celsius, and we have sunspots that can reach below 4,000. So now we have a live footage of the sun. You can swipe the screen upwards to have a full screen footage of the sun, and now we're having the live footage. So there seems to be a magnetic field on the left of the picture. However, there doesn't seem to be any sunspot over there. So we are currently observing a magnetic field seemingly in the center of the picture. So we are currently pointing the mouse pointer on it, and you can see where the pointer is, and that's exactly where the magnetic field is at the moment. As we mentioned earlier, the temperature drops as we advance towards the photosphere from the core. So the photosphere is the coldest area of the sun with a temperature of about 6,000 degrees Celsius. And there are sunspots on the photosphere that can reach below 4,000 in temperature, which is relatively cold compared to the core. So an important and interesting phenomenon is that this area is the solar flares. Solar flares are huge explosions that release an incredible amount of mass and energy in very little time, in a very short amount of time. Their temperature can reach up to 200 million degrees, sometimes less, sometimes more, but the average temperature is around 100 million and 200 million, which is a lot hotter than the core, however, significantly less stable. So in the layers above the photosphere, the temperature starts rising as we advance. Just above the photosphere, we have the chromosphere with an average temperature of about 10,000 degrees. And the layer above that is even hotter. It's commonly known as the corona. And the temperature in this area might reach up to 1,000,000 degrees. In the past, these two areas, the photosphere and the chromosphere, were visible only during a total solar eclipse. But nowadays, thanks to the new advancements made in technology, we're now able to see these two layers whenever we desire. In the past, only the area around the chromosphere was observable because the moon would cover the chromospheric disk. However, with these special telescopes that we have at the moment and we are using for the session, we won't be as limited and we'll be able to see a wonderful world on the surface of the sun. So using a solar telescope supplied with the H-alpha filter, we can observe the entire chromosphere. Some interesting phenomena that we can observe in this area are the sunspots, but from a different perspective. We can also see active magnetic zones and solar prominences. So a solar prominence happens on chromosphere, and it floats through the corona. These prominences appear as small swellings on the edge of the sun. However, what's interesting is that these prominences may seem small compared to the sun, but the smallest of them can be much bigger than our planet. Now, aside from its volume and size, sun is also really heavy. Now, what we basically mean by heavy is that it's massive, and the more massive an object gets, the stronger its magnetic field is. Now, you might have heard about the Park Solar Probe, which has entered the corona and is getting nearer and nearer to the sun. So in order not to fall into the sun due to its gravity, this probe is moving at an insane speed of 690,000 kilometers per hour, which is the highest speed humans have achieved so far. So now we have an example. This probe can travel distance between Isfahan to Khuzestan in only a fraction of a second, which is really, really incredible. So the question was, what does the hydrogen alpha filter do? So the question was, can we use the H alpha filter to directly see the chromosphere? The answer was no, we can't. Actually, different spectra are used for different reasons. We had an example of calcium and magnesium filters, which we can use to see different things about the sun. The next question was, when do solar explosions happen? And the answer is the solar explosions are more likely to happen where there is a stronger magnetic field. An interesting question was, can solar explosions destroy the whole universe? Well, the answer is obviously no. A solar explosion can be so powerful and strong to have enough power and strength to destroy the Earth magnetic shield. However, a sun explosion cannot destroy the universe. All right, one thing I might need to point out is that for our foreign viewers, they might be there, so I'm just going to say this for them. You can take screenshots of the live footage of the sun. You can post it on your stories, and don't forget to tag the mentions that we just had. And the winner will be rewarded to say goodbye. I just want to say that it's been my great pleasure to be at your service, and I hope we have more sessions like this, more programs, and I hope that you guys learned something. Take care, and bye for now.